What's going on YouTube? This is Rybo at the table today, not the bench, because it's like 25 degrees outside and my shop is not heated. But today I am doing another cut or carry review today. Today, finally looking at another watch. I wish I got to do more watch reviews, but knives are much easier to buy and sell. Watches tend to be more expensive, so very excited to be able to do another watch review. I actually, on my wrist, have the Seiko SNA411 Flightmaster, so I'm very excited to do a review on this guy in the near future. All right, so today we are looking at the Bertucci DX3 A-2S case field watch. So a couple notes real quick. One, this is not the default strap that comes with it. This is a Toxic NATO Shiznit. This is in the, what do they call it? It's a khaki or a brown color. Love this color, love this strap. This actually came on a kind of Zulu style, thicker NATO that is on loan to my dad right now because he wanted to try it on a watch. He actually has a Bertucci, but he wanted to try it on a different watch. So I threw it on this for the review, and honestly, this has been what I prefer to wear it on. This has kind of been the default strap that I've gone with, and I really, really like it. I think it looks really nice. I think it functions really well. I think it's just a perfect strap. So just a note there. Secondly, Bertucci's are a little bit frustrating in the sense that there are so many different combinations and so many different similar field watches that it is very hard to track down the exact one. So if I take this apart, not apart, but if I take this strap off real quick to highlight the case back, I'll kind of show what I'm talking about. I will try to put some links in to similar field watches from Bertucci using the same case or with the DX3 design. But if you look at the case back here, you can see it's an A2S case, which is really just talking about the actual case, not necessarily the dial design. And then this is, I'm assuming this is the model number 0818, which I can't seem to find anywhere. I know that this one was purchased at Long Island Watches. I looked on their site. I don't see it anymore, so I'm assuming he sold out. So apologies that, you know, this exact review, you may not be able to find this watch, but you can probably find something very, very similar. And a lot of what I'm saying today really applies to a lot of these Bertucci's at this price point. So just a note there, apologies if you can't find the exact one. All right, I'll probably be taking it on and off the NATO. But let's do some size checks and size comparison just so you get an idea. This is obviously a field watch style watch. This is a no date. It does have a screw down crown. I believe it's rated to 100 meters water resistance. Let's see, turn this to millimeters. So in terms of the case diameter, at widest point you're looking at, and this is the really with the shroud, so about 40 millimeters. Has a smaller internal diameter because of the thicker case. So if I can get a measurement on that. Yeah, it's about 31 millimeters. So you do have a good bit of shroud there with the case. Thickness on this guy, it is a little bit thicker than you may expect. So 11 millimeters, not too bad. And then the lug to lug that I find the most helpful measurement of a watch, 48.2 millimeters, so not bad at all. You do have longer lugs because these are fixed. There are no spring bars, so you will not be able to use a traditional style strap. You'll have to do some kind of NATO like this. That's kind of Bertucci's thing. What other measurements? I think that's all the measurements. Let's do a size comparison. So I'll do a head-to-head between these, but this is the SNK809 automatic from Seiko, the much-loved or much-hated watch. So you can see they're fairly similar in size. The Seiko is a little bit sleeker because it doesn't have this classic Bertucci shroud. And then you can see it next to one of the SKXs. This is the 009. So you can see it's a little bit smaller. But I think a fantastic size watch and really great for a field watch. All right, so let's talk about the things that I like about this watch. Pretty much everything. I So let me just start off by saying that this watch really highlighted how much of a snob I had become. I had really gotten into watches in the last maybe 3 to 4 years, and particularly really gotten into automatic watches. Every watch that I wanted to get, I wanted an automatic. And so I was becoming a little bit of a snob. Obviously, I still have my Wingers Swiss military that I talk about all the time on the channel. That's an excellent watch, but there was some sentimental value there. But I just found myself always drawn to automatics. This watch was gifted to me, and you can see obviously it is a ticking quartz. And I absolutely fell in love with this watch. I love just about everything about it. And so this has highlighted how much of a snob I was, because at maybe $70 for this watch, I think $50 on sale. You can get these styles anywhere between $60 and $100. This is just a fantastic watch. And I really, really like it. So the reasons for that. So number one, the dial. This is a classic kind of field watch dial. You have really, really nice luminous material. So I've had twins in the last few weeks, and I have an almost 3-year-old. So I have 3 kids at home, and I'm up every 3 hours doing feedings for the infants. So I keep a watch on all night long because I have to check check what time it is anytime I wake up. This has been pretty much my constant companion during that time, because I was very surprised to see that the luminous material was actually really good. At first, when I got this, I thought that was going to be the detractor for it, but it is held up all night long. I can see it. I wear contacts, so in the middle of the night, I don't have my contacts in. I can see this very, very well. So it holds its charge pretty well. You have obviously luminous material on those hands. I don't know if you can see. They're kind of outlined in white. You have luminous material on the end of the second hand here, and then on each indice. And that is just really awesome. It's held up very, very well, carries through the night, and I've been able to see what time it is really, really well. So that's been really cool. Other things I like just with the dial design, I love just the baton kind of markers and the semi-baton hands. They're a little bit tapered towards the ends, but I think they're just beautiful hands. I think it's very simple. A lot of times what I dislike on Bertucci's is a ton of text on the dial. This one is very, very simple. I'm not really a minimalist guy. I don't really like Nomos. I don't really like some of those brands. So I really like something that has some design to it, is not too simple. This, I think, has enough design on it. You have some information down here and it looks like I've got a little bit of dirt or something there. Like I said, I've been definitely wearing this watch pretty regularly. So you have probably the model number down there, stainless steel case, and 100 meters water resistance. So I think it looks really nice. I like that it doesn't have a ton of text there. It's just very, very easy to tell the time. You look down at this guy and you can just immediately see what time it is, and I think that's really cool. Other things, I mentioned the handset I'm a huge fan of. I think that of the Bertucci's I've seen, this is probably my favorite handset. I love baton hands, and these are kind of this tapered baton. There's probably a word for that, but I really, really like that. And then the second hand, the counterbalance is super cool. You've got this kind of like soft triangle design there, and then you've got the square or the rectangle on the end of the second hand. I think that is really, really nice. I think it looks fantastic, and I'm a big, big fan of that as well. The second hand doesn't line up perfectly, but it's not terrible. You can probably watch it as it's going around. I think on the left-hand side, it's much closer than on the right-hand side. You can see it's starting to kind of correct itself right now. And honestly, for a under $100 quartz watch, I think that that's totally fine. Honestly, the Winger Swiss military is so off that it makes this look fantastic. Other things that I like about the watch, the case shape, and this is where let me take this off of the NATO. The case shape is kind of a love it or hate it thing for people. So Bertucci has a very distinctive case shape because you have fixed lugs here. You cannot take these out. These are fixed, right? And so you have these longer lugs to allow you to get a thicker strap in there. And you have a fairly thick or substantial case here. And so that means it's a very noticeable case. When you see one of these on wrist, and even some of them have lugs that extend further out, you know that it's a Bertucci. It also comes down quite a bit, again, so that you can get a strap through there. And so it is a very distinctive case. It's usually a love it or hate it. I love it. I love it, especially after wearing it, because those lugs seem to just sit very, very well on my wrists and kind of hug the wrist. So I can wear a double pass through NATO and it doesn't stick too far off in the hand. And so I really, really like that. This is kind of a bead blasted case, which usually I'm not a fan of, but on the SNK 809 and on this one, I actually quite like. Other things, I think the case back is very nice and actually seems fairly high quality. Obviously, you can see it's a Chinese-made case. So basically, what they do is they have the cases made in China. The material, the luminous material, whatever, it's probably assembled in Switzerland, and it's got a Japanese movement. You can get a Swiss movement quartz on some of the more expensive ones, but this is a Japanese movement, which no issues there. Obviously, huge Seiko fan. But the case back is very crisp. All of the lettering is really, really nice. It doesn't look very sloppy. I think it's just very, very crisp, and that's really, really nice. That's honestly one of the first things I noticed was how nice the case back was, and so I really, really like that. Other things that I like, let's see. So screw down crown. It is unreal that you get a screw down crown on a $70 watch, and the fact that it makes it 100 meters water resistant is just really, really fantastic. It really turns this watch from something like I won't say fashion watch, but something like a cheaper quartz, maybe a Timex, something like that, and really ups its game and makes it a field watch, makes it a true, rugged field watch. And so that's really cool. I'm not going to set this or anything like that, but you can see it obviously pops out, and then it screws back in. I think it screws in very nicely. The crown is signed with that same shape that you have on the back of the second hand, which is a really nice detail, and it's got the perfect amount of texturing. It's the perfect size. It kills the 809 and the Seiko 5 crowns. This is just a fantastic crown. Other things that I like that the mineral crystal here is recessed. So if I drop this, it's not going to scratch up the crystal. You can probably see a slight bevel there. Yeah, there you go, on the crystal. So it's just fit very well. I like that a lot. You've got a decent amount of space there between the top of the case and the crystal, which I think looks really nice and functions very nicely. Let's see, other things I like. That's probably about it. Probably done fawning over the watch. Let me talk about things that I don't like. It's a pretty short list. Oh, I'm sorry. One other thing I want to talk about real quick. The quartz movement. So I don't know exactly what quartz movement this is, apart from the fact that it's a Japanese movement. A lot of times on some of these cheaper quartz watches, they will switch in and out different quartz movements based on availability. I know on my Winger Swiss Military, I bought my friend one, the same guy who bought this for me, and they had two different ETA Swiss quartz movements in it, even though it's the same watch. So I don't know the exact movement. I haven't taken it apart yet, but I can say this is one of the higher quality this is one of the higher quality quartz movements that I've had in a watch under $100. Really, the way I can tell that is just by the sound. I don't know if you've ever had a Timex, but you can hear it across the room ticking. This is super, super quiet. It's been very, very accurate, very, very quiet. See if you can hear anything. I mean, that was dumb of me. There's no way that you can hear it ticking, but it's very, very, very quiet, and I really like that. It's, to me, a sign of quartz quality when it's quiet. Whenever I hear a quartz watch ticking from across the room, I just think it sounds very, very cheap. But it's been very accurate. Been a champ. So I do want to call that out because I do think that there's a difference, big difference between typically your Japanese quartzes and your Chinese quartz movements. All right, things that I don't like. So the fixed lugs are going to be a love it or hate it thing. Honestly, I get bummed because I can't wear like an elastic style strap. But, honestly, I understand the utility of it. You don't have to worry about spring bars breaking. I love this watch on a NATO. I think that's really where it belongs. So I don't really have any issues with that. Other things I dislike, this is nitpicking for such an inexpensive watch, but you don't really have any applied parts of the dial. Everything's pretty much printed on here. And apologies, but apparently I've still got something on the dial there. Should have brought a cloth to clean it off. But everything's pretty much printed on. You can see a little bit of texture where the loom is applied. But besides that, everything's printed, even the logo there and the indices. But, not a big deal for a watch of this price point. Besides that, I don't really have any issues. I think it's a phenomenal watch. I've been very, very impressed. It's made me rethink quartz watches in my life. I will say in Bertucci in general, I would like for them to be a little bit easier to navigate. The website's very difficult. It's kind of hard to track down specific models of the watches that seem to have so many different iterations based on the same case design. I'll try to link up to whatever this one is, the A9815, if that helps me track it down. If not, I'll just put some links to similar ones. But I think in general, sometimes Bertucci can be a little bit overpriced, but in this case, I think that this is absolutely fair because when you put this up against the Timex of the same price, really what differentiates, at least the ones that I've seen, Timex is from, a $20 Timex to a $40 to an $80. It tends to be the dial design, whether it's a chronograph or not, what kind of strap it's offered on, if it's part of their Waterbury series, that kind of thing. It doesn't tend to include a better movement. I've had seen movement issues on those watches in really whatever price point. I have seen some complaints about hands falling off of these. We'll see kind of how it holds up. But in general, I think that in every way, this is higher quality than something like your Timex quartz. This really, it's a known Swiss brand. Now they are known for being quartz watches, but it is a known Swiss brand, I think, with a good name. It is 100 meters water resistant, screw down crown. Like there are just some of those specs that you can't argue with. Whether or not you like the aesthetic or the fixed spring bar thing, that's up to you to decide. But objectively, this is a good watch for the money. If you're spending $70 on this, $60 on this, this is a good watch. This is not their titanium case, which they're known for. You are going to pay a little bit more for that, but this is a fantastic entry point into the brand and into quartz watches. So I highly recommend this. This is going to be a strong carry for me. I wear this watch often. It's become a constant companion in the recent sleepless nights, and it will not be coming off of my wrist anytime soon. Hope you have enjoyed this kitchen countertop review, and I'll see you next time.